everyone. You're welcome to Let It Out. I am Blessing Boaz Adiotunolua, a Montessori directress and a life coach for children. So today is going to be an interesting episode because I have a guest with me and it's going to occupy the seat pretty soon. So we're just going to discuss, and bring life to all of the topics we have discussed so far. The absorbent mind of the child, the sense of entitlement, the extreme and ideal personality in children. We're going to be discussing about that, ask ourselves some questions where we need to adjust, where we need to work more, So this is what we'll be doing today. And also, you remember, Let It Out is not a platform where we judge or we give lectures or we castigate parents. No. It's a platform where we join a force, work together, and help the child to attain his full potential. So stick with me as I invite our guest. All right, so with me today, I have Mr. Boaz Adiotunolua, and he's our guest for today. So we're going to be discussing some of the issues I spoke to you about. Yes, you guessed right. Meet my husband. So, and we happen to be lucky. God has blessed us with a number of children, 4 to be precise. Some of them that are still at the stage of the absorbent mind, which is 0 to 6. Some that have passed that stage and they are at the stage of the reasoning mind of a child, and some also approaching the teenage life. So we're just going to ask some truthful questions where we need to adjust, where we need to work hard, and the things that we need to do. This can be of help to some other families. You can go ahead and also do this at home. So, it's all about working together. You're welcome, Mr. Ashaju Korede Boaz.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate being here.
Yes. So, like I said, I have some questions for you about our children. And you're going to answer those questions truthfully. And I'm sure you have some questions for me. So let's go ahead, right? Okay, we have discussed about the absorbent mind of a child. Among our children, who do you think is at that stage of the absorbent mind of the child?
Well, I would say the second to the last and the last child, yeah.
All right. So, regarding the absorbent mind of the child, remember we spoke about it being action for action and words for words. Among these two, do you think they have picked up some words or some actions that you think we need to work on?
Well, yes. I would say the second to the last girl, she's picked up a number of words that that possibly borders around being manly, because she grew up around boys,
Yeah.
so she uses authoritative words a lot to talk to her brothers, and in negotiation with her brothers. She's learned to be tough and learned to be authoritative, not wanting to back down.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, she learns that while I was trying to train the men to be men,
Exactly.
and she got caught up with that. So yes, well, with the last child, we were able to do a bit of amendment and got so there's a bit of there's a bit of difference in the way 3 of them treat the last child, because we became more intentional and became more deliberate about how we address them, understanding that we address them the way we also want them to address us. So we did action for action in correcting the last child. And for the second to the last, we had to intentionally keep, saying to her, you need to do this right. You need to be able to be ladylike and all of that. And over time, some of those corrections have been taken. I must say, it's not too easy to correct something that has been absorbed,
exactly,
by a child. If you miss it, it's always very hard to.
Exactly. I wanted to chip in here, with our first child, right? Being that we just got this knowledge, we're just acquiring this knowledge and all of that. With our first child, it's been really, really, really difficult. Why? Because he has passed the stage of the absorbent mind. So that is why I keep saying, if you get it right with your first child, I tell you, everything, it will just trickle down. It will be very easy. It will be effortless, because you won't have to, keep trying to be intentional and knocking the head and all of that. No. Once you get it with your first child, every other child that comes under it will just align. That is why we talk about this 0 to 6 as a very critical stage of growth. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Do you have something to say?
Well, maybe as we go on, something would come up, definitely.
All right. So thank you. All right. So I would also like to ask, what are the ways, or what are some of the actions you have put in place to be intentional? Like some things that you have put it upon yourself to intentionally do this right, so that they would also get it. Can you share with us?
Yes. Growing up, like you said, this knowledge wasn't there, so we didn't understand the importance of the courtesies around relationships, the mutual respect,
exactly.
the fact
like
that respect is reciprocal, and the fact that it's what they see that they absorb and helps them to build up their character in the future. Understanding this knowledge through your experience and your tutelage, it helped us to be more deliberate, about the things we say in front of the children, ensuring that when we are upset, we restrain, in such a way that it allows us to communicate in a way that they also can learn from.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong. There's been that time when restrain was not easy, and when that happens, you also try to explain and bring them into the knowledge that no one is perfect, but it's always better to choose that ideal personality, that ideal path to resolution, rather than being extreme. Saying thank you, saying please, saying I'm sorry, maintaining silence, understanding that if you speak, it could heat up discussions. All of that is being practiced before them, so that they also are able to absorb it and use it in their own lives and everyday activity. Yes. So, and it's worked to some certain extent. For instance, with my son, I had taken my natural way of being trained, and I'd taken that route with him, and I realized he's a very outspoken person, very gifted, very brilliant, and that method made him to lose confidence in himself, made him to begin to question himself about his abilities, and made him start to look for an alternative character to imbibe. that will eventually get daddy pleased or get mommy pleased. I mean, if daddy took this method while I was myself, then I should look for the ideal character that daddy will be pleased with.
Yeah.
And you not understanding that you could drive your child on a course, you can drive your child on a journey of searching for how to please you, is one of the ways you can ruin or make a shipwreck of your child's identity.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being truthful, right? So the next question is about the sense of entitlement and the sense of gratitude. Now, like I said, we have 4 kids. Amongst them, the 4 of them, who have you spotted or have you noticed that is exhibiting the sense of entitlement?
The last child.
And she is 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
So what are the ways you think we need to, help her to adjust?
Well, the best way to help her to adjust is to always create a balance, create that balance. And I say it's a skill. It's a skill that every parent must have.
That's right.
It's a skill that every parent must have. You must intentionally create that balance in restraining or in giving and not giving, in allowing and not allowing, in your yes and your no, in your permissions and your not permitting. That just creates that,
balance.
And when you are stern, be stern.
Exactly.
When you know that you are being stern to pass a message across, stay on it. Don't back down.
Yes. Sorry,
Yes.
I would like to give an example here. Now, like I said, she's just 3 years old, so she's fond of wanting to get things from her older ones. And I know we always tell the older one, don't you know you're her senior? Don't you know you're the big one? Can you give it to her? I notice she's taking advantage of that. So what I get to do is that I call her and tell her, you need to wait for your turn, or you need to wait to get yours, right? And also explain to the older one, right? Hold on, when she's done, she would now give it to you. That way, I think we're trying to create a balance so that she would understand I don't always have my way.
Absolutely.
And the older one also understand that, okay, I am older, but I also, get to find my way around it, how to work with her, how to deal with her, and all of that.
When to sacrifice and
when to sacrifice. Very, very important. Thank you so much,
and
Mr.
I
Boaz.
also, sorry, just to chip in.
Yeah.
I also noticed that in getting her to balance these things, she also gets to use it. For instance,
Yes.
when her siblings or her elder ones are in the midst of an argument or a negotiation of some sort, she goes ahead to mediate between them. Like, okay, today her elder sister was asking her elder brother for something and she didn't use please. So she went to meet the sister and said, you didn't use please. So say please. And
Say please.
the sister says please to the brother. Then she goes to the brother and says, oh, that's the magic word. She said please, so give it to her. Then the brother goes ahead and gives it to her. And it's just an economy of honor, an economy of respect.
Wow.
There's a reciprocal, sense of respect, honor, and I mean, it's just a great thing. It's amazing watching them.
It is really, really, really great watching them. Sometimes we just look at her and she makes us laugh like
Absolutely.
every day.
Absolutely.
She has a very strong will, and it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Working with children, it's amazing. You just need to understand them for who they are, understand their mind, understand how they want or how they rule things. So we just need to observe. Observation is very key. Observe your children. Know when you need to help them. Know when you need to curb. Know when you need to restrain, right? So thank you very much, Mr. Boaz.
Yes.
Our last question for today, right? We've already, I know, in answering your question, you've also touched on that. Talking about the sense or the, the ideal personality and the extreme personality in children, right? I would like you to, just like we've always done, help me spot out one of them that is exhibiting an extreme personality and how we need to help that child to channel him into exhibiting his ideal or her ideal personality.
Okay. Well, I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to categorize him as one who has an extreme personality. I probably want to categorize him at that level where one has the tendency
Yeah.
to choose and always chooses an extreme way of expressing himself rather
Yeah.
than choose the other part, because they haven't come to that stage of settling in an identity or settling in a personality yet. And
Yeah.
talking about settling in a personality or in an identity, it's important to note that I learned this from you, that before a child settles in a personality or in an identity, it's probably your only opportunity, to key into the child and help the child to choose what identity to settle in. And that's really how to build the ideal personality. The fact that you are able to walk hand in hand with your child, not just physically, but with the persona of your child, key into the inner being of your child to help the child settle properly in an ideal personality. And I strongly believe that this can only happen in the place of bonding with the child.
Yeah.
In the place of getting
Bonding.
relational with the child, putting yourself in the shoes of the child and the thought process of the child, because in that is the only way you can get the child to grow into the understanding of the realities that you want to present before the child.
Yeah.
So talking about the ideal personality and the extreme personality, I would want to use all of the children as an example. So our first son, like I said, if I had known earlier, I probably would have taken a different method with him, getting close to him, getting him to talk with me,
Exactly.
getting to be his best friend.
That's right.
I know a friend that that has done that, and it's been an exciting relationship with his son. And for me, I rather took that route of chatting out commands, chatting out
Sorry, let me chip in here. That thing you're talking about is the same thing that I was saying about the absorbent mind. Now, he has absorbed that from his own childhood, the normal way, and that is what most of us get to do. We learned it from our parents, we learned it from our environment. There's a way that our environment, has, tweaked our way of growth, and those are the things we're now exhibiting as parents, right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly why, we talk about being intentional from now. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I started to chat at him, authoritatively, give him instructions, whether he understood it or not. He was just meant to obey, even if some of the things I was saying to him was to help him. I didn't bring him to the understanding of why he was doing the things he was doing.
Like I said, they are at the stage of the reasoning mind. You need to explain. They need explanation. You need to explain to them all the time. This stage is also very critical because they reason, they want to know why, they want to know how, they want to know when. They just keep asking you questions because that's what their mind does at this stage.
Absolutely. So yeah, well, it just helps you to understand some of the challenges you had while you were growing up.
Yeah.
Not basically because they were they were wrong, but just because you didn't come into the understanding. You understand, and you took that also into your own way of life with your kids. I said that to say that the education on how to parent, on how to the orientation about parenting goes far beyond you just being old enough to father a child. It goes far beyond you being able to get married and being able to father a child or mother a child. There are some skills to it. There's on the understanding the mind of the child that needs to happen to you as a parent.
Yeah.
And anything you need to sacrifice to come into that understanding, you will be helping not just your family, not just the environment around, but the nation as a whole.
Yeah.
So yes, that's with our first son. But over time, you know, uh, I started to try to get more relational, get
That's
into
now being
discussions.
deliberate about.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Get into discussions with him. Well, give him some privileges, that are not accorded to his younger ones, that will give him certain sense of belonging and certain sense of inclusion. That opens him up again, to want to try, to be himself again, and see if this person is now the person that everyone is pleased with. Like I said, the extreme personality or the ideal personality is, driving between both personalities is actually a search for that personality that everyone will be pleased with. That personality that will be acceptable, by everyone. It's a thin line, and that's why we said it's a skill. You also don't want your children to grow up to be men pleasers. You also don't want them to grow up to want to be yes men or yes women. So it's a skill, and
the skill, we've been saying it is a skill.
It's a skill that every parent must take out time to understand and
create a balance,
and to create that balance that really sets the child on the right path. Then our second child, well, I was a bit soft with the second child, because he's as clumsy as I was when I was young.
Oh my God.
My first came out, very unlike me, very, don't get me wrong, but came out very brilliant, very assertive, chose his pedigree, chose his style, wanted to impress. He was just that personality that was exclusive, and that worried me a lot, and in reaction, I took a method that I was used to. But with the second child, he came with all of my faults, so getting to learn some of the things that my wife teaches, I over time learned to start to observe. I observed that the educational performance for each child does not really go on to define the content of their character.
That's right.
Does not really go on to define their intellectual capacities and capabilities, because we are all strong in different ways. And if you look properly, you would find that our weaknesses are covered by the strengths of others, and our
Yeah.
strengths, are to cover other weaknesses. And over time, I've just realized that it's a puzzle that fits and suits
Yeah.
with all the children. Everyone has his skill, everyone has his
Yeah.
strengths. And when you put them all together, you realize that they are a bond and they are an army that cannot be broken or overrun.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
you must learn to observe and look at your children in that light.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that they all can't be the same. The third is an amazing the third is an amazing personality. She loves to organize, to party, and the last is a general. She
Yeah.
controls everyone and wants to, and they all, they getting close to them and being bonded with them um, helps them to settle, helps them to choose. You see them
Yeah.
daily
Settle into the
trying to
ideal
choose.
personality.
Yes,
Yeah.
daily trying to choose, trying to settle, and over time, they settle more for the ideal than for the extreme.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashaju Boaz, my dear husband. So he's a good student. You can see he has learned a lot.
Yes, I am.
It's amazing, right? So this is why we're here. Like I said, this is for the world in general. It's not just for Nigeria. It's not just for Africa. It's for the world. Like I keep saying, the world awaits our children. They are the great minds that we have in our homes, and what we need to do about them, we need to start now. Please don't wait. Now is the time, and we need to work together as a team. A father cannot be showing the child another image while the mom is doing something else. No, it's a force that we need to join together. We need to work together as a team so that the child gets the ideal image, and keep working together for the child so that the child would attain his full potential. Thank you, everyone. Please do subscribe to our channel. Send in your questions so that we can treat them in our next episode. Bye and keep watching. That's a wrap for today. Thank you everyone for your comments, your likes, your shares. Please do remember to subscribe. See you in the next episode. Bye.